You ever wonder why some courtrooms feel more like a game show than a place for justice? When a lawyer has to talk about an injury that's personal, like something involving a person's body in a private way, the whole room gets awkward fast. Here's the thing about juries, they are just regular people, like your neighbor who mows his lawn at 7 in the morning. They did not sign up to hear graphic details, so if a lawyer just blurts it all out, the jury shuts down like a laptop at 1% battery. So what do good lawyers do instead? They use something called clinical language, which basically means describing the injury the way a doctor would, calm and factual, instead of using words that sound like a soap opera script. Think about it like ripping off a bandage versus peeling it slowly. Nobody wants the dramatic rip when it comes to someone's dignity. Lawyers actually train for this, learning to present evidence in a way that respects the person while still making sure the jury understands how serious the harm really is. There is a whole strategy called normalizing the medical, where instead of making the injury sound scandalous, they present it the same way you'd explain a broken arm, just with more careful words. This keeps the jury focused on facts and consequences, not on being shocked or embarrassed. Now here's a twist you probably did not expect. Sometimes lawyers use expert witnesses instead of having the injured person describe everything themselves. A doctor explaining the injury in medical terms feels a lot less invasive than the victim having to relive it out loud in front of strangers. Juries are humans, though, not robots, so even clinical language can trigger some bias if people feel uncomfortable or make assumptions. That is why jury selection, called voir dire, becomes almost like casting for a movie. Lawyers are quietly checking who might carry outdated ideas into the deliberation room. Picture this, and I promise this is the only time I'll say that phrase. A juror who has strong personal opinions about certain topics might unconsciously blame the victim instead of the defendant. So attorneys ask careful questions during selection to spot those biases early, kind of like a bouncer checking IDs before letting anyone into the club of decision makers. One common misunderstanding is that lawyers exaggerate injuries for sympathy points, like it's some kind of courtroom drama for streaming platforms. In reality, exaggeration can backfire hard, because if the jury senses manipulation, they trust the whole case less, kind of like finding out your favorite influencer used a filter the whole time. Instead, attorneys lean on documentation, medical records, timelines, and photos when appropriate, because paperwork does not lie and it does not overact. This turns the emotional weight of the case into something measurable, so the jury reacts to evidence, not just emotion. There's also a technique called compartmentalizing testimony, where sensitive details are broken into smaller pieces spread across different parts of the trial. This prevents one dramatic moment from overwhelming the whole case, kind of like pacing out spicy food instead of eating the whole pepper at once. Judges play a role too, sometimes limiting how graphic testimony can be or allowing certain evidence to be shown only to the jury and not the public. It's not about hiding the truth, it's about protecting people's dignity while still letting justice do its job. Here's the part that might surprise you. Respectful presentation often gets better results for the injured person. Juries tend to trust cases more when they feel like adults being informed, not audiences being shocked for effect. If there's one big lesson here, it's that sensitivity is not weakness in a courtroom, it's actually strategy. Handling private injuries with respect protects the person and strengthens the case at the same time. So next time you hear about a personal injury trial, remember it's less about drama and more about careful communication under pressure. Want to learn more about how all this works? Check out our links in the description.